Let me start with a simple truth. What you eat after 60 determines how you age. Not just how long you live, but how well you live. Most people think that meat is meat, protein is protein, but that's a dangerous myth. The type of meat you choose can either heal your body or speed up your decline. After 60, your metabolism slows, your hormones shift, and your ability to process fats, sugars, and toxins changes dramatically. Today, I want to tell you about the 5 worst meats you should never touch. The ones that quietly destroy your heart, your brain, and your microbiome. And the 5 meats that can actually protect your longevity, support your muscles, and keep inflammation at bay. Because this isn't just about diet, it's about chemistry. It's about understanding how food talks to your cells. So, if you're over 60, listen closely. Your next meal could be your best medicine or your slowest poison. Let's get one thing straight right from the start. Meat is not the enemy. The problem isn't that you're eating meat. The problem is which meat you're eating and how that meat was raised, processed, and cooked. When you're over 60, the differences between one kind of meat and another become far more significant than when you were 40. At this stage of life, your metabolism slows, your mitochondria, the energy factories in your cells, are more vulnerable to damage, and your immune system is more sensitive to inflammatory triggers. So while your younger self might have handled a greasy burger without much consequence, your older body interprets it as an assault. Now, let's talk about the science. When we say not all meats are equal, we're really saying that the biochemical composition of different meats leads to vastly different outcomes inside your body. A grass-fed steak and a fast food hamburger might both have protein, but that's where the similarity ends. Grass-fed beef has higher levels of omega-3 fatty acids and conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, both of which help reduce inflammation and improve insulin sensitivity. Feedlot beef, on the other hand, is loaded with omega-6 fats, hormones, and residues from antibiotics, all of which push your body toward inflammation, oxidative stress, and metabolic dysfunction. Your body doesn't just digest food. It listens to it. Every bite sends a chemical message. Eat the wrong kind of meat, and your liver, pancreas, and gut microbiome start to receive distorted signals. Those messages might upregulate pathways that produce insulin, cortisol, and inflammatory cytokines. Over time, that constant whisper of inflammation becomes a roar, leading to insulin resistance, heart disease, and neurodegeneration. Eat the right kind of meat, and you send the opposite message, a signal that calms inflammation, supports muscle maintenance, and keeps your blood sugar stable. Let's consider what happens in your gut. Your microbiome, those trillions of bacteria that live in your intestines, is one of the biggest regulators of aging. It decides how efficiently you extract nutrients, how you respond to inflammation, and even how your brain functions. Certain meats, particularly highly processed or charred meats, generate compounds like heterocyclic amines and nitrosamines that kill off beneficial bacteria and promote the growth of harmful species. These microbes in turn produce toxins like trimethylamine N-oxide TMAO, which contributes to atherosclerosis, that's plaque buildup in your arteries. The end result? You feel older, sicker, and slower than you should. But when you eat clean, unprocessed meats, think wild salmon, pastured chicken, or grass-fed lamb, the outcome is different. These meats are rich in nutrients that your body actually uses to protect itself. They contain zinc for immune strength, iron for energy metabolism, and B vitamins for brain health. The fat composition is also critical. Omega-3 fats from fish and pastured animals are anti-inflammatory. They literally switch off the genes that drive chronic disease. In contrast, the omega-6 fats from grain-fed animals are pro-inflammatory. They fan the flames of arthritis, dementia, and metabolic syndrome. After 60, you can't afford to ignore those flames. Your body's repair systems are slower, your telomeres, the protective caps on your DNA, are shorter, and your detoxification pathways aren't as robust. So every extra ounce of inflammation counts. Choosing the right meat is not just about taste or ethics, it's about chemistry and survival. Here's another truth most people don't realize: the industrial meat system has changed the very biology of the animals we eat. Chickens today are twice as fat as they were 50 years ago, with far less omega-3 and far more omega-6. Feedlot cows are stuffed with corn and soy, foods they were never meant to eat, which change the structure of their fat. And those changes in the animal's fat become changes in your fat. You are, quite literally, what your meat ate. And then there's the issue of processing. When you cure, smoke, or fry meat at high temperatures, you generate compounds called advanced glycation end products, AGEs. These sticky molecules gum up your tissues, damage your arteries, and make your skin and organs age faster. They're called AGEs for a reason: they make you age. A lifetime of eating them adds up, but the impact accelerates after 60 when your body's antioxidant systems can no longer keep up. So when I say not all meats are equal, I'm talking about a biochemical reality, one that your body can feel even if you don't fully understand it. The meat you choose either supports your metabolism or sabotages it. It either builds you up or breaks you down. And at this stage of life, the margin for error is small. The takeaway is simple: stop thinking of meat as a uniform food group. Start thinking of it as a spectrum, from toxic to therapeutic. The more processed, grain-fed, and factory-produced the meat is, the more harm it does. The more natural, grass-fed, and wild it is, the more it acts like medicine. The choice, as always, is yours. But the science is clear: not all meats are equal. And at 60, that difference can mean the difference between aging and thriving. Let's talk about one of the most dangerous myths in modern nutrition: the idea that protein is protein. That's like saying all fuel is the same, whether it's clean electricity or dirty diesel. After 60, your body isn't a brand new car anymore. It's a finely tuned classic. It still runs beautifully, but only if you use the right fuel. And when it comes to meat, the dirtiest fuel you can put in your body is processed meat. By processed meat, I mean the stuff most of us grew up with: bacon, sausage, hot dogs, deli turkey, ham, pepperoni, salami, corned beef. Convenient, tasty, and cheap. But that convenience hides a brutal biological cost. These meats are chemically engineered, cured, smoked, salted, preserved to look good, last long, and trigger your brain's pleasure centers. They've been stripped of their natural balance and rebuilt in a lab for maximum shelf life, not maximum health. And the older you get, the more your body pays the price. Here's the biochemistry. Processed meats are loaded with nitrates and nitrites, compounds used to preserve color and prevent bacterial growth. Sounds harmless, right? Except inside your body, these chemicals transform into nitrosamines, toxic compounds known to damage DNA and increase your risk of cancer, particularly colorectal and pancreatic cancers. When you were younger, your liver might have handled that toxic load more efficiently, but after 60, detoxification slows down, those nitrosamines accumulate, and your risk skyrockets. And then there's sodium, lots of it. Processed meats are salt bombs. High sodium intake leads to hypertension, which is one of the most powerful predictors of heart attack, stroke, and cognitive decline. After 60, your blood vessels are less elastic. That means the pressure inside them rises faster with every extra pinch of salt. One serving of bacon might not kill you, but over decades, it acts like sandpaper inside your arteries, roughening their walls and making them perfect landing strips for cholesterol and plaque. But the story doesn't end there. These meats are also rich in advanced glycation end products, AGEs, compounds formed when proteins and sugars fuse together under high heat. They're created during frying, grilling, or smoking, exactly how most processed meats are prepared. Once inside your body, AGEs do exactly what their name implies. They make you age. They stiffen your arteries, cloud your lenses, and accelerate inflammation throughout your body. It's like rust for your tissues. And let's not forget fat quality. The fat in processed meats is largely saturated and oxidized. When fat oxidizes, that is, reacts with oxygen, it forms peroxides that damage your cell membranes and mitochondria. These oxidized fats trigger systemic inflammation and oxidative stress, the two main engines of aging. You can feel it in your joints, your energy levels, even your brain. That brain fog that creeps in after a salty breakfast sandwich. That's inflammation talking. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Dr. Lustig, I've been eating bacon my whole life. Sure, and maybe your body has been tolerating it, but tolerating something isn't the same as thriving on it. After 60, your resilience changes. The systems that once buffered your bad choices, your liver, kidneys, and vascular lining, have been doing that job for decades. They're tired, they can't clean up your mess as efficiently anymore. So what used to be a mild insult becomes a full-blown injury. There's also your gut microbiome to consider. Processed meats devastate it. The preservatives and smoke compounds act as antimicrobial agents. They kill bacteria. Unfortunately, they don't discriminate between the bad and the good ones. Over time, this reduces microbial diversity, paving the way for metabolic disease, weakened immunity, and chronic inflammation. A healthy gut produces short-chain fatty acids that protect your brain and heart. A gut wrecked by processed meats produces TMAO, a toxic byproduct linked to heart disease and dementia. And let's talk about the psychology for a second. Processed meats are designed to be addictive, the perfect combination of salt, fat, and umami flavor. Lights up your dopamine pathways, the same ones triggered by sugar and narcotics. You think you're making a food choice, your brain thinks you're feeding an addiction. That's why it's so hard to quit the morning bacon or the deli sandwich at lunch. But when you understand the chemistry, you realize that your brain has been hijacked and it's time to take it back. After 60, what you eat either protects your longevity or erodes it. And here's the painful truth. Processed meats accelerate aging on every level. They stiffen your arteries, inflame your gut, fog your brain, and damage your DNA. That's not just getting older, that's biochemistry catching up with you. Now that doesn't mean you need to become a vegetarian. It means you need to upgrade your protein sources. Choose unprocessed, fresh, and minimally cooked meats. Go for grass-fed beef, pastured poultry, wild-caught fish. Use gentle cooking methods, poaching, steaming, or slow roasting. These simple changes reduce your exposure to nitrates, AGEs, and oxidized fats while providing the clean protein your body needs to maintain muscle, immunity, and energy. So, if you're over 60, do yourself a favor. Leave the processed meats on the shelf. They may look familiar, comforting, even nostalgic, but inside your body, they're poison. The choice isn't between flavor and health. The real choice is between aging faster and living better. And once you understand that, the decision becomes a lot easier. Let's start with a simple truth that modern nutrition forgot somewhere along the way. Your body doesn't count calories, it counts chemistry. For decades, we've been told to focus on how much we eat. Eat less meat, cut your portions, lower your calories. But the real question isn't how much you're eating, it's what kind you're eating. Because when it comes to meat, the quality of what's on your plate matters far more than the quantity. And once you're past 60, that difference becomes critical. When you were younger, your body could handle a fair amount of nutritional abuse. It had metabolic flexibility, the ability to shift between burning sugar and fat, detoxifying harmful compounds, repairing oxidative damage. But after 60, your mitochondria, those tiny powerhouses in every cell, start to slow down. Your antioxidant systems aren't as strong, and your hormonal signals aren't as efficient. So when you eat low-quality meat, your body struggles to process the load of toxins, hormones, and inflammatory fats that come along with it. Let's break down what quality actually means. A steak from a grass-fed cow grazing in open pasture is a completely different food from a steak that comes from a feedlot animal pumped with antibiotics, eating corn and soy. Same number of calories, same grams of protein, but radically different biological impact. The grass-fed beef contains higher levels of omega-3 fatty acids, conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, and antioxidants like vitamin E and glutathione, compounds that fight inflammation and protect your heart and brain. The feedlot beef, on the other hand, is high in omega-6 fatty acids, which drive inflammation, and it's laced with residues of antibiotics and hormones that disrupt your gut microbiome and endocrine system. So your body doesn't treat those two steaks the same way. The grass-fed one calms inflammation, supports metabolic balance, and fuels your mitochondria efficiently. The feedlot one triggers inflammation, damages your gut lining, and spikes your insulin response. It's like the difference between putting premium fuel in your car versus diesel sludge. Both make the engine run, but one keeps it running clean while the other clogs it up. And it's not just about the cow. The same principle applies to all meats: chicken, pork, fish, even eggs. A pastured chicken that eats insects, grasses, and seeds produces meat and eggs rich in omega-3 fats and antioxidants. A factory farm chicken, confined indoors and fed genetically modified corn, produces meat that's higher in inflammatory omega-6 fats and lower in essential nutrients. That imbalance is one of the root causes of the silent inflammation that drives aging, the kind that doesn't hurt but slowly corrodes your heart, joints, and brain. Fish is another great example. Wild-caught salmon is one of nature's perfect foods, packed with omega-3s, vitamin D, and protein that your body can easily use to rebuild tissue. But farmed salmon? That's a different story. They're often raised in crowded pens, fed processed pellets full of soy and dyes, and exposed to antibiotics to control disease outbreaks. The result is a fish that looks the same on your plate, but behaves very differently in your body. The omega-3 to omega-6 ratio plummets, the toxin levels rise, and the health benefits disappear. After 60, your muscle health becomes another key. You need more protein to maintain muscle mass, but that protein has to be clean. Low-quality meat might deliver the amino acids your muscles crave, but it also delivers inflammatory fats, chemicals, and toxins that cancel out the benefits. High-quality meat, on the other hand, gives you the building blocks for lean tissue without the metabolic baggage. And remember, muscle isn't just for strength, it's your body's biggest metabolic organ. It helps regulate blood sugar, insulin, and even cognitive function. Quality meat also affects hormonal balance. The hormones injected into feedlot animals don't just disappear. They end up in your food and eventually in your bloodstream. Those synthetic estrogens and growth promoters interfere with your own hormonal signals. They can contribute to belly fat, insulin resistance, and mood swings, all issues that become more pronounced after 60. When you eat clean, hormone-free meat, you remove one more source of metabolic confusion from your system. And let's not forget about cooking methods. Quality isn't just about how the animal was raised, it's also about how the meat is prepared. Overcooked, charred meat generates harmful compounds like heterocyclic amines and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, both linked to cancer and aging. Gentle cooking methods like slow roasting, steaming, or sous vide preserve nutrients and reduce toxic byproducts. High heat, smoke, and grilling, that turns good meat bad in a hurry. At this stage of life, your body's margin for error is smaller. Every meal is a message to your cells, a signal that tells them to either repair and rejuvenate or to inflame and degrade. When you eat low-quality meat, you're sending a stress signal. When you eat high-quality meat, you're sending a healing one. So yes, you need protein, but you need the right kind. You can eat less meat overall and still thrive if what you do eat is clean, nutrient-rich, and raised the way nature intended. It's not about portion control anymore. It's about quality control. Because at 60 and beyond, your body isn't looking for more calories. It's looking for better information. Food is data, and high-quality meat delivers the data your body needs to stay strong, lean, and clear-minded. When you shift your focus from how much meat you eat to the kind of meat you eat, you stop just surviving and start truly thriving. Most people think of protein as a simple nutrient, something you eat to build muscle and stop hunger. But protein is more than that. It's a signal. Every bite of protein tells your body what to do. It can tell your muscles to grow, your liver to detoxify, your brain to stay alert, or if you eat the wrong kind at the wrong time, it can tell your cells to age faster. Once you hit 60, those signals matter more than ever, because your metabolism isn't just slower, it's different. Your body no longer responds to food the way it did in your 30s or 40s. And when it comes to protein, both timing and type determine whether you'll extend your lifespan or shorten it. Let's start with the basics. Protein is made up of amino acids, the building blocks of life. They rebuild muscle, repair tissues, make hormones, and maintain your immune system. But not all amino acids act the same way, and your body doesn't process them equally at every age. After 60, your ability to absorb and utilize protein declines. The enzymes that break it down aren't as active, and your cells become less responsive to the growth signals protein provides. This means that simply eating the same amount of protein you did at 40 won't give you the same results. You have to be strategic, not just about how much, but when and what kind. Timing matters because your body's muscle synthesis machinery called mTOR works like a switch. When it's turned on, your body builds and repairs tissue. When it's turned off, your cells rest and clean out damage through a process called autophagy. You need both. Constantly stimulating mTOR with frequent snacking or low-quality protein can lead to excessive growth signaling, which sounds good until you realize it accelerates aging and increases your risk for cancer. On the flip side, if you don't activate mTOR enough by skipping protein or eating too little, you lose muscle strength and resilience. The trick, especially after 60, is balance. You want to eat enough high-quality protein in specific meals to trigger muscle building, but not so much or so often that you suppress your body's repair cycles. That's why protein timing, especially a solid protein-rich breakfast or lunch, becomes essential. Studies show that older adults who front-load their protein earlier in the day maintain more lean muscle and experience less frailty than those who eat most of it at dinner. Your muscles respond best to protein when your metabolism is active, your hormones are aligned, and your cells are primed to use the nutrients. Now let's talk about type. The type of protein you consume determines the kind of signals your body receives. Animal proteins from meat, fish, eggs, and dairy are complete proteins, meaning they contain all the essential amino acids your body needs. But that doesn't mean all animal proteins are good for you. Some, particularly from processed or conventionally raised animals, come packaged with inflammatory fats, hormones, and toxins that counteract their benefits. On the other hand, clean, minimally processed, grass-fed, or wild-caught proteins deliver the right amino acid balance without the metabolic baggage. A critical amino acid here is leucin. It's the key that turns on muscle protein synthesis. As you age, your body becomes resistant to leucin's signal, a phenomenon known as anabolic resistance. That means you need more leucin from higher quality protein sources to get the same muscle-building response. Grass-fed beef, wild salmon, eggs, and dairy from pasture-raised cows are excellent choices because they're rich in leucin and low in inflammatory compounds. Plant proteins can also contribute, but they're typically lower in leucin and need to be combined like beans with rice to achieve balance. But here's the nuance. Longevity isn't just about preserving muscle. It's about preserving metabolic harmony. Too much protein, especially from low-quality sources, can overstimulate M2R, promoting growth when the body should be repairing. This constant growth signaling is one reason high-meat, low-quality diets are linked to shorter lifespans. On the other hand, intermittent periods of lower protein intake, or incorporating plant-based proteins, allow autophagy to kick in, cleaning out damaged cells and reducing inflammation. So it's not a question of meat or no meat. It's a question of rhythm, of when to build and when to clean. Think of it like exercise. You can't lift weights every hour of the day. Your muscles need rest to grow. The same applies to your cells. Eating high-quality protein at the right times, ideally after physical activity or when your metabolism is active, helps you repair and regenerate. Eating it mindlessly throughout the day just keeps your body in growth mode, which speeds up wear and tear. After 60, maintaining muscle is non-negotiable. Muscle is your armor against aging. It stabilizes blood sugar, protects your bones, and supports brain function. But muscle without metabolic balance isn't health, it's just mass. The secret is precision. Eat enough clean protein to keep your muscles strong, but allow time between meals for your body to rest and rejuvenate. Prioritize lean, unprocessed sources, wild fish, pastured poultry, grass-fed meats, and occasionally high-quality plant proteins. Avoid the cheap processed meats that throw your system off balance. Because here's the bottom line. Longevity isn't about eating more protein. It's about eating the right protein at the right time. Every meal is an opportunity to send your body a message, build or repair. After 60, the wisdom lies in knowing when to do each. When you master that rhythm, when you understand that protein is a language your body speaks, you stop fighting against time and start aging with intention. For the past 50 years, we've been fed a lie that food is just fuel, that it's all about calories in and calories out, that if you eat less and move more, everything will be fine. But after 60, your body tells you the truth your doctor and the diet industry never did. Food isn't about calories, it's about information, it's chemistry. And every molecule of food you eat talks to your cells, your hormones, your brain, and your genes. Whether that message heals you or harms you depends entirely on what's on your plate. Let's start with this. The old calorie model is broken. 100 calories of grass-fed beef does not have the same effect on your body as 100 calories of processed sausage. Yes, they may both contain protein and fat, but the metabolic response is completely different. One supports your mitochondria and reduces inflammation. The other floods your bloodstream with toxins, hormones, and oxidized fats that accelerate aging. Your metabolism isn't a math problem, it's a biochemical orchestra. Every bite of food sets off a cascade of signals. Proteins regulate hormones, like insulin, glucagon, and growth factors. Fats influence inflammation and cell membrane function. Carbohydrates affect neurotransmitters and energy production. The question isn't how many calories did I eat, but what chemical message did I just send to my body? After 60, that message matters more than ever, because your feedback loops the body's ability to correct and balance itself. Slow down. You can't out-exercise or out-willpower bad biochemistry anymore. When you eat processed meat, for example, you're not just eating protein. You're eating a chemical cocktail of sodium nitrite, preservatives, and advanced glycation end products. Those compounds don't just sit in your stomach, they interact with your cells, damage your DNA, and alter your gut microbiome. Your immune system sees them as threats and responds with inflammation. Chronic, low-grade inflammation, what we call inflammaging, is the root cause of most diseases of aging: heart disease, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and even cancer. Now contrast that with eating clean. Natural meats, grass-fed beef, wild-caught salmon, or pastured chicken. These foods don't just nourish you, They inform your body that you're in a state of abundance and safety. They send signals that support muscle maintenance, stable blood sugar, and a balanced immune system. They contain micronutrients like zinc, selenium, and B vitamins that act as cofactors in hundreds of enzymatic reactions, the invisible processes that keep your metabolism humming. When we say food is information, we mean that, literally, the nutrients in your food bind to receptors in your cells and alter gene expression. They can switch genes on or off, turning down inflammation, turning up detoxification, and enhancing longevity pathways. Compounds in clean meats like carnosine and taurine protect your mitochondria and preserve brain function. Meanwhile, the additives and oxidized fats in low-quality meats activate stress pathways that age your cells faster. So what happens when you keep eating like it's 1985? When you focus only on calories or protein grams and ignore the chemistry, your body loses the ability to communicate with itself. Your hormones get out of sync. Insulin stays high, cortisol rises, and your cells start storing fat instead of burning it. You feel tired after meals, foggy in the afternoon, achy in the morning. You blame it on age, but it's not age. It's biochemical confusion. After 60, your body becomes exquisitely sensitive to these chemical messages. Every meal is a choice between healing and harm. Eat nutrient-dense, minimally processed food, and you're feeding your mitochondria, the little engines that keep you alive. Eat ultra-processed or low-quality meats, and you're feeding your inflammation. The difference isn't visible right away, but it accumulates in your arteries, your joints, your brain. Aging is the gradual sum of those tiny biochemical insults. Longevity is the sum of your biochemical victories. This is why diets that focus on numbers, calories, macros, points, fail in the long run. They ignore the language your body actually speaks. Your body doesn't know what a point or macro is. It knows hormones, enzymes, neurotransmitters, and oxidative stress. When you eat a food rich in antioxidants and healthy fats, your body translates that as a signal of stability and safety. When you eat foods loaded with toxins, refined oils, and preservatives, it hears a signal of danger and it reacts accordingly, with inflammation, insulin spikes, and cellular stress. And here's the key insight. After 60, your margin for error gets smaller. Your detox systems, your liver, kidneys, and lymphatic pathways are working harder to keep up. You can't neutralize as many toxins or repair as much oxidative damage as you once could. So the chemistry of your food becomes your best ally or your worst enemy. Every bite is either building resilience or eroding it. So stop thinking of food as fuel. Think of it as code. The question isn't how many calories are in this meal, but what program am I running in my body right now? Are you turning on inflammation, insulin resistance, and fat storage, or are you activating repair, detoxification, and longevity? Once you shift your perspective from calories to chemistry, everything changes. You stop fighting your body and start working with it. At 60 and beyond, you don't need less food. You need smarter food. You need meals that talk to your biology in the language of healing. Real, whole, high-quality meats do that. Processed cheap meats don't. Food isn't fuel, it's instruction. And if you feed your body the right information, it will remember how to thrive, no matter your age.